Hi, everyone. This is Zhou. I'm the founder of QuarkChain. Today, I will give a talk about building next generation DeFi platform. First of all, I would like to thank you, San Francisco Blockchain Week team organized this Unitize event. So here is the outline of today's presentation. First, I will give a short motivation why we want to build better DeFi platform. And then I will summarize some challenges we have observed these days for all kinds of DeFi platforms. Then I will explore the potential opportunities in developing a better platform and how we are able to contribute towards this better platform. And lastly, I will give a conclusion of today's talk. So everybody knows that right now, DeFi is a really fast-growing market. So about 3 months ago, the market total locked value in the DeFi contracts is just less than 500 million. Right now, this value is now more than 1.64 billion. That's about almost 3 times, 2.5 times than 3 months ago. And so with a lot of people now are developing DeFi application, and more people are putting their valuable assets in the DeFi. At the same time, we see the couple of, I would say, issues that is happening at the same time. So I think the most concerning, I would say, challenges in DeFi platform is the security. Because imagine there are billions of dollars that is putting in those smart contracts, and suppose one of these contracts is being hacked, well, then it will lose considerable amount of these assets of the users. So actually, those events are happening or happen these days. For example, Banker recently released their smart contract, and they found severe issues in the contract. So in order to prevent the hackers to steal all those assets, they have to perform a white hat attack, basically attack the contract themselves, and then stole those assets to their accounts and return to the users. And another famous event that is LandF.me, which they use compound code, but they use called non-standard assets, which create further attack vector and was utilized by the hacker and stole $25 million US. Luckily, the hacker is identified and the hacker returned all the assets back. But it's still this create a lot of concern in the market that why there are so many security issues happening. And actually these days, just a few days ago, Balancer, another famous project, is also be hacked, and it more than 500,000 of the assets because it just started. So the number of assets is still relatively small, but still more than 5 million assets that was attacked and stolen. And like imagine, suppose like for example, Compound, which is the largest DeFi project nowadays, which has locked roughly 1 billion assets, and it was hacked. How would the market be? That is a disaster. And remember, those projects, they are actually well known, and their code actually is seriously audited by several famous auditors. For example, Balancer is audited by, actually here is title here, it's a trial of bits. And for example, the LandF.me using Compound's code, which actually is also audited by trial of bits and also OpenZeppelin. And they're still being attacked, which implies that a lot of other projects with less resources, with less tests, with less audit, may even highly likely to be attacked. And that is very concerning. Okay. Next, user experience. we know that actually the largest DeFi platform right now is Ether. And actually for all DeFi users, no matter they have no idea of what Ether it is, they must have buy Ether in order to do a basic thing that is pay transaction fee. And for example, suppose I have 100,000 USDT in order to, for example, participate in DeFi. I want to lend to somebody else. I still have to buy Ether. I cannot use this USDT to pay transaction. And this takes a lot of efforts for DeFi developer to educate their users. And at the same time, I think a lot of people realize this issue and they are putting a lot of effort try to support other tokens other than Ether to as transaction fee. And some projects, for example, such as Cosmos SDK, they started the project with non-default native token, so they support multiple different tokens. However, there's still a couple of questions in the reality that these features that is enabled. So how to claim those non-default native token and how to prioritize those transactions. Suppose the network, there's a lot of transactions. How could these people prioritize them so that the miners can enjoy the best returning reward by collecting those fee of transactions? But this fee is in different tokens. How could miners, block producers, to figure out this? And in addition, be able to participate in a DApp, actually the actual transactions are needed for those contract-based tokens like ERC20. It's like the ERC20 is kind of like a second-class citizen, while Ether is the first-class citizen. And in order to support this second-class citizen, so the users must submit a call approved transaction, which I will explain a more in details, and actually it causes several security concerns. But basically for each DApp, for example, Uniswap, Compound, for each ERC20, ERC USDT, USDC, WBTC, the user must submit a so-called approved transaction for each DApp and each ERC20. And if one of the app is hacked, then all the assets, I will discuss detail, the assets not only in the contract, but also under the names of the user will also be in risk. So we saw this is a lot of challenging in this user experience-wise. But from user, you will just want everything to be as simple as possible, but still we need a lot of extra step, extra resources in order to support the DeFi activities. And lastly, there's a scalability. Actually, this is a very long story. So there's a lot of discussion. And so why scalability become more a severe problem? So first of all, we know that now Ether, a lot of Ether and EOS, or no matter other blockchains, Cosmos, Gaia, they are a single chain. So running all kinds of contract in a single chain does bring the value of called composability. However, that means that the user can in the same chain and combine all the possible DeFi products and build and satisfy their DeFi needs. For example, a famous event that's using Flash LAM for an AAVE and then explore these arbitrary opportunities between different DeFi products, and in order to gain better reward with basically almost zero cost. And so I think this is kind of good thing, because with the composability, increase kind of liquidity, it comes of actually making the smart market more balanced. And so if we project right now, the DeFi is still in the early stage, which I think most people agree, then we will project as the activities of DeFi grow, a single chain from physical perspective, they can be easily hit its limits. And for example, if there's a sudden traffic surge comes, like there's a hot dApps, then the single chain will block the usage of all the other DeFi products. So here is a graph that is captured from, it's a scan, which plots the historical gas price from early this year to today. And so we see the gas price increase, I think, more than 2 and 3 times just in half year. And these events will be more and more. And we also see some peaks that were highly caused by some hot events that is happening on chain. And so when people want to participate in the DeFi with other hot events, they have to pay a very expensive transaction fee. And so here is an example. I just participated in Compound a few days ago. And basically, I want to lend some of my $10 of USDC coin and to earn some interest in Compound, where you can see that from this transaction fee wise, it costs roughly $2. And this number should be even higher these days because there is still even harder. And so in order to collect the interest for this $10, I have to pay first $2 before I can earn any interest. And this greatly limits further activities of DeFi. So a lot of people, including, for example, Vittori, believe like multi-chain technology such as shorting is the future to address this scalability problem. However, at the same time, this multi-chain also come up with a problem called composability, is that could any users be able to use all the DeFi products in different chains easily, basically in my words? And the question Vitalik says is yes, but Ether is naturally supported. But all the contract-based tokens or ERC20 need modifications. And here is his words. He said the ERC20 cylinder would have you need to modify, be able to do something, be able to transfer from one shard to another shard. And so there are a lot of open questions here. Will this modification significantly increase, for example, the token creator, for example, the ERC20 creators' effort to maintain all these tokens? Because it looks like there are multiple ERC20 contracts represent for the same asset in different shards. And maintain all these contracts will be much more difficult than right now. And second, would this modification introduce additional, for example, security efforts, so that people need to put more efforts in security, in audit, in testing to make sure those, for example, contract-based tokens are working properly? And I think this make right now the security situation become even worse. So after summarizing what we have observed in right now the DeFi platform, we believe that in the future, when the DeFi market grows rapidly, we need a platform with first better security, better user experience, and better scalability. And there's a bonus that it can also help developer to provide a better developer experience without have too much concerning of standard security issues, user experience issues, or scalability issues. So our thoughts to provide a better platform is to provide a solution that use first multi-native token plus DEX plus sharding. So multi-native token, we allow the users not only to create, for example, to use the default native token like Ether or QKC on us, but every user is able to create their first class citizen native token and be able to claim their ownership, be able to mint whether they're using single owner or can be a DAO, and further using DEX. Together with this native token, we allow users to use this native token as transaction fee, while we still maintain a lot of problems of, for example, different pricing of native tokens. And lastly, with sharding, we hope that we can easily scale the network, and not only the default native token, but all the native token can naturally enjoy the scalability that brings by the sharding technology, while with almost nothing in terms of actual development efforts. So first, let me go to some details how we are able to solve these existing problems. So first, existing problem in terms of security is that we call it infinite approval. What does that mean? So because of the limitation of the current platform, for any ERC token, the users must, before participating in any DeFi application, a user must first approve the DeFi application, the smart contract, to spend the user's assets on behalf on the lane on behalf of the user. So for example, suppose I want to put $10 in Compound and say, hey, I want to lend to somebody else. Then before I move this $10 to Compound, first I say, hey, I will approve Compound contract to move $10, spend my $10 to anyone. And then I participate in the, for example, lend, then the contract will move my $10 to the contract and mark it internally, say, hey, there's a $10 that I have. I can use this $10 to lend to somebody else to earn the interest. And so the approve means that I have to trust the contract that will not do bad thing, that will not steal my assets. And in addition, it has an allowance parameter. So for example, just now in the previous example, I used $10, but in reality, to avoid multiple approvals, because each time users want to deal with just for example $10, the next time I need to do another approve for example $100 if you want to lend. So basically all the DApps where I use Uniswap, Compound, they will ask users to just submit a proof with infinite allowance. That means the DApp is able to spend all my assets using under the name, for example, USDC, even just in my account, not in the contract's account. So here is an example. When I submit, for example, before I participate in the Compound, so it will submit a proof with two parameters. So first parameter, which start with 3988, blah, blah, blah. This is basically the contract of the Compound saying that, hey, I approve this contract to spend for me. And the next one is FFFF, infinite F. That is basically infinite. Basically, how much this contract can spend on behalf of me, that is infinite. And as a result, this hacked contract can transfer not only my assets that is stored in the contract, but also all the corresponding assets in my account. So for example, I have 1 million USDC, proof of contract, and say I want to participate. But someday the contract is hacked, and the hacker can move all my $1 million, even it is just in my account. So the recent incident of Banker is that they found an issue that the hacker is able to move on behalf using the contract and then be able to move users' assets. And in addition, this problem become, I would say, much harder to know unless you are being really attacked, because a few DApp provides a called unapproved operation that say, hey, I don't want to trust anyone that is be able to spend my assets on me, but actually a very few DApp provides that. And so another question is called a non-standard ERC token. So we saw that a lot of non-standard ERC token introduce extra features and create further security concerns. For example, ERC 777, we have called emergency issue, which caused this DeFi called land.f.me attack, because this, although they use the heavily audited compound code. And even ERC20 tokens in themselves have bugs that may, for example, the main chain token has this bug, so they can issue infinitely. And so with the multi-native token we designed, we allow everybody to issue the first class tokens and use it to transfer between different contracts. So there's no approved operation. A user just sends its native token to participate in the app, and it will never risk the asset in the user account. And all the native tokens, they have standard behavior. So we don't need to worry about the further security implications of actual features and ERC20 token that brings, and eliminate a lot of reentrancy issue. Another thing that user experience is that we believe the future DeFi platform, it can allow users to use any native token as transaction fee and to eliminate for example, other token, for example, Ether, or all this education cost. But the concern is that we heard the default native tokens utility value. And here our answer is no. How we are able to do that? It basically, when we perform a transaction using other native token, the system will automatically swap it using a system-wide DEX. It can be implemented as a Uniswap, or it can be implemented in other kind of simplified DEX. And from a user perspective, it just pay any native token. But when the miner process this transaction, it will receive default gas token after swap. And this also helps the miners to identify those transactions with high values and put higher priority path into transaction into the network. And lastly, better scalability. So native tokens are stored in the user's account. And so since as long as we are able to move default native token like Ether between shards, which we totally give a comprehensive discussion on how to achieve that, then we are also able to move native token between different shards. And that means all these native token can immediately enjoy the scalability that enabled for by more shards. And from the app developers, in order to support this native token, they would just deploy the contracts in different shards with a very minimum code chains. And so as I just mentioned, this all native token can enjoy increased scalability with more shards, just naturally. There's no extra work to do, just issue a native token, mint it, and scalability is done. Gradability is done. And we are also be able to move these tokens, so we're able to enable cross-shard composability. People can enjoy all the DeFi products in different shard chain very easily. And so we totally give a list of examples how to do this. So I won't go through details, and here is the link. And lastly, the bonus. Basically, right now we have a native token ERC and native token Ether and ERC20 tokens. And the developers need to basically put extra effort in order to support both sets of codes. So right-hand side is a source code of Compound. Actually, you can see that in order to support ERC20 and Ether, it has to provide two separate codes in order to make sure the system works correctly. And also, a lot of old DeFi, like MakerDAO, it starts with Ether first. And then when it migrates to using other ERC20 tokens, they have to do a lot of effort in terms of migration and create further concerns in terms of security or arbitrage space, a lot of things. So you can read this story about how they replace their DAI with legacy DAI with that's called Psi. So as a summary, we are projecting that the needs of the next generation DeFi platform with better security, better experience, better scalability, and a bonus in terms of better developer experience. And so our conclusion is that multi-native token with DEX plus sharding could be a really good solution. It provides better security by using standardized native token, and which avoids a lot of security pitfalls, as I just mentioned, infinite approval, non-standard ERC 20, a reentrancy issue, all kinds of this. From user experience-wise, with system-wise default DEX, it provides a way to exchange any default token, native token to default gas token. So the gas token still has its utility value as gas, so all the transactions still use it, but all the users of native token holders, they do not need to hold the gas token, and they can use any native token, USDT, USDC, as transaction fee. Just like we use it to pay, for example, Visa or Master. And lastly, next is scalability. Sharding enables scalability for native tokens. So for any native token, scalability just they can enjoy the benefit of scalability being by those sharding, and be able to moving all the native tokens from different shards to another shard from one shard to another shard. Then this DeFi composability is also enabled, so the people can use the token to participate all the DeFi products in different shard chains in the network. And lastly, well, with this native token, there's a very minimum code change is required for the existing code so that it can harvest all the benefits I just mentioned in terms of security, user experience, and scalability. And so this is the basically the last slides. Which actually have been working towards this direction since we start. And we are putting a lot of effort to make all those that is also be able to happen. So first, from security, we are now able to be able to have all our users to issue and mint those native token. And from the user experience wise, we already program exchange in the system-wise exchange to provide this swap feature, so the user can use any native token to pay as gas token, which we will enable it in our mainnet in the next half a year. And from scalability-wise, we have finished this when the project was started with sharding, and we are also natively support moving all kinds of native token between shards, and so all kinds of this composability that listed by Vitali, all the scenarios are now enabled. And lastly, the platform code is enabled to be able to handle this multi-native token. We already support that, and we are also providing library code to try to simplify all the development process with better test case, with better document, and with also better, for example, monitoring tools. So our next step is to host a campaign on our testnet I think this month, and this campaign will last maybe for 1 or 2 months, and so that people can really experience all kinds of this I would say benefits, security, user experience, scalability through our first testnet, and later mainnet in the next half of the year, and people can earn the reward in terms of QKC by issuing, minting, and playing, for example, performing transaction, or deploy the users of smart contract in testnet and to play with these native tokens. So that's all for my today's talk. Thank you very much for attending my presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out QuarkChain.io and visit our forum community at QuarkChain.io, and we will be happy to answer any question you have. And also, if you want to participate in this event, we are really happy and will welcome everybody to participate. Thank you.